And the Oscar goes to...
He's a five-time Oscar-nominated
director, writer, and producer. His films like The Dark Knight,
The Dark Knight,
Inception,
Interstellar,
captivated audiences.
And the Oscar goes to Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer.
This is the first Oscar win and 8th nomination for Christopher Nolan. He received his first nomination for his Memento screenplay.
Interesting.
How do you end up describing the film to people who haven't seen it? I mean, what do you say when they say they've heard about it and they want to have you tell them what it is?
Sure. Well, I say it's a psychological thriller about a guy who can't make new memories, who's looking for revenge.
Well, that's the thing. I have this condition.
A condition?
It's my memory.
Amnesia?
No. It's different from that. I have no short-term memory. I know who I am. I know all about myself. Since my injury, I can't make new memories.
He tried to put the audience into the head of the protagonist and make them experience some of his confusion and uncertainty and paranoia.
Oh, if you invert the structure, if you tell it in reverse chronology, then you're denying the audience the information that the protagonist is denying. Mm-hmm. So in one sense, you're putting the audience in this guy's place.
It's a motel room. You just wake up and you're in a motel room.
Best way to draw it is as a hairpin, like that. That's basically the end of the movie. This stuff is the black and white stuff.
The answer, it's just a permanent way of keeping a note.
The black and white stuff is all derived from a forward-running sequence. So if you take these individual black and white scenes, they run forwards. If you stick them together, they actually overlap. So there is a suggestion that in fact, and it is the case, that you can stick all these scenes together and achieve one sort of long scene effectively.
Everything up until my injury, I just can't make new memories. So I can't remember talking to you. What did we talk about? Oh, Sammy Jenkins.
This is color. And this is running backwards as a series of jumps. And what we do is we cut between the two the whole way through.
This guy. If you're all right.
Lenny!
You really need a system if you're gonna make it work. You kind of learn to trust your own handwriting.
So we alternate scene here, scene there, scene there, scene there, scene there, scene there, and they meet towards the end of the film.
Writing on your body instead of on a piece of paper can be the answer. It's just a permanent way of keeping a note.
The way in which we cut between these two things is we'll take a color scene and then we'll cut to a black and white scene that's shorter in length. And then we come back to the color scene and we basically, as these are going essentially backwards in time, we sort of leapfrogging and we wind up repeating the beginning of a scene at the end of another scene.
This guy. If you're all right.
Lenny!
And in that way, we use repetitions of certain parts of scenes to clue the audience into where they are chronologically. So essentially what we're always doing is we're beginning every scene with something of a cliffhanger, something of an unusual situation or a memorable image. And then in a later scene, we're explaining how that situation has been arrived at. And that's the rhythm of the film over the entire course of the movie. Well, the overlaps become shorter as the film progresses because the audience, the assumption is, and it seems to work, that the audience gets into the kind of rhythm. They begin to understand that the structure is backwards. We in fact begin the film with a literally backwards scene at the head. I mean, we're literally running reverse action. I was looking for a way into this structure, the way into this storytelling. So what I wanted to do was to show something in reverse to suggest the backwards movement of the film. But the way in which the Polaroid is used through the film is as a replacement for short-term memory. So it seemed like showing a Polaroid picture undeveloping, showing him or showing the picture undeveloping, showing this information being lost. It seemed like a very useful way of suggesting the problem that he's having to deal with, which is, this faulty short-term memory, this information dribbling away. And in fact, the opening shot is, it's a Polaroid of a dead body. And I think the significance of that becomes clear later in the movie in terms of how I was interested in looking at the relationship of revenge to the relationship of his perception of revenge versus the notion of whether it has any objective reality, whether it has any value outside his own head.
He's not the right guy.
He was to you. Come on, you got your revenge. Enjoy it while you still remember. What difference does it make whether he was your guy or not?
It makes all the difference.
Why? You're never gonna know.
Yes, I will.
No, you won't.
I will. Somehow.
You won't remember.
When it's done, I will know. It'll be different.
Well, I thought so too. In fact, I was sure of it, but you didn't.
Really trying to make the ending clear, really trying to have the thing sort of snap together at the end in a particular way. What I found was the device, the reverse chronology, the idea of jumping into his head was working. And what it meant was by the end of the film, you did not know who to trust.
That's right. The real John G. I helped you find him over a year ago. He's already dead.
Don't lie to me anymore.
Look, Lenny, I was the cop assigned to your wife's case. I believed you. I thought you deserved a chance for revenge. I'm the one that helped you find the other guy in your bathroom that night. The guy that cracked your skull and fucked your wife. We found him, you killed him.
But ambiguity in movies is a tough thing because if it feels like it's put there because you don't have an answer as a filmmaker, I think people don't accept it and they see it as a mistake.
No reason, Lenny. No conspiracy, just bad fucking luck. A couple of junkies too strung out to realize your wife didn't live alone.
Because to me, one of the interesting things about the film and what we were trying to do is essentially present an idea of the tension between our subjective view of the world, the subjective way in which we have to experience life, and then our faith in an objective reality beyond that. The lead character, because of his particular condition, he can never know how long that's been. He's cut loose in time, effectively.
For a week, 3 months, it's kind of hard to say. I don't know. It's just an anonymous room.
Because when I looked into the real life condition, that is very much a feature of it in real life. When somebody loses the ability to process information in the conventional way, when they lose the ability to, take the experience, we're having now and then pass that into the long-term memory, they get very bad and in the end cease to be able to estimate time and estimate the time that's passed. So in the story, we make a big feature, of the notion that he does not know how long it is since receiving his head injury. Receiving the injury that means that he's stopped making memories, and the point at which we're seeing the story. That's a very indeterminate period of time, which was always very interesting to me.
How can I heal? How am I supposed to heal if I can't feel time?
We didn't want to step outside his head. We wanted to present the audience with that problem effectively and say, he can't ever get outside his head and recognize what the objective truth is. So I think the audience at the end of the film is left to make certain of the same judgments that he is. They're invited to believe or disbelieve certain elements of what is supposed to have happened in his life.
You make up your own truth, like your police file. It was complete when I gave it to you. Who took out the 12 pages?
You, probably.
No, it wasn't me. See, it was you.
Why would I do that?
To create a puzzle you could never solve?
Between
how many
the
towns, how many John G's or James
and
G's?
the person you once were,
all
the objective information that you supposedly define yourself through, your name, where you live, all this sort of stuff, your whole childhood, all that's all accessible to him. But it's the difficulty of reconciling that with his present self.
I'm Leonard Shelby. I'm from San Francisco.
That's who you were. What you become?
Shut your mouth.
You want to know, Lenny? Come on. Come on, let's go down to the basement. Let's go down, you and me together. Then you'll know who you really are.
And that seemed to me to be maybe just for somebody coming up on 30, it just seemed like a kind of interesting arena. It's like, how do you define yourself as a person now? How do you sort of sit there and look at yourself and say, well, how did I get here? And, who am I now? And, compared with what I was 15 years ago, for example. It seems an interesting area of the personality to explore, really.
No!
One of the things we were trying to do in the film, by putting people as firmly as possible into Leonard's head, we were really trying to make the audience question their own process of memory a little bit, the way we did when we were making the film.